Guess that was the ASMR portion of my video. Uh, Out here on the property doing a whole bunch of things, trying to record a few things. As you can see, pouring out sweat. There's sweat from rucking earlier, then cutting down a tree, and it's warm out here, but it's a nice little breeze coming through right now, which is feeling extremely good. And as you can hear, it's just a whole lot of ambient noise. It sounds beautiful, it sounds peaceful. This is what people work so hard to get to accomplish so that they can have a peaceful, quiet existence. I, my whole life, it's been just go, 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 go. When I was younger, I had all of this different ambient noise that wasn't external, it was all internal. I was pulling myself in so many different directions. It got so bad is that I would use so many different aliases from different places that I would go, and uh, when someone would call me by one of those names, then it would trigger all the stuff of how I knew that person, how I interacted with that person, what I did, even when I was really young and I was doing that. And my grandmother was still alive. Well, actually, uh, way before she died in 2016. Um, this was this was before high school or during high school, somewhere in my early high school time. That's when I had all of the different names that I used, and people would call my grandmother's house and they would ask for the person that they knew, not actually who I was. So I was creating all of these uh, different personalities to fit in to what that group or organization wanted. I wasn't being my true self. I didn't become the JA that you all know. I didn't even take on that name or moniker until what was that? Uh, 1994? No, 1993 going into 1994 when I entered into high school. High school football, and I was named JA because I was using one of my aliases when I filled out the paperwork for high school football. And even then, there was so much noise going on in my head. I couldn't get through the cloud of who I wanted to be or who I needed to be. Or like I was this church boy that wanted to hang with the hood dudes, but I didn't want to be hood, and I wanted all the women, and then I was a womanizer, then I was a manipulator, but I was only manipulating myself, uh, trying to figure out who I was and who I needed to be. It took a while to clear out those different voices in my head, not in a um, not in a split personality type way where this voice is telling me to go do something. Like, no, I would just take on this version of myself to get and accomplish what it is that I wanted to do, what I needed to be, who I needed to be, to so that I could get that win. Now I look back, what was it, 1984? I went down to some of my family's property in North Carolina. What was it, Castle Hayne, North Carolina? Where's that, down I-40? Back then I wouldn't have known it. I didn't learn all of this stuff until I wanted to purchase the property, but it's heir property, so that property is still sitting there. My grandmother was paying taxes on it. My aunt was paying taxes on it. So who knows what is going to happen with that property, if it's still, uh, if it didn't get eminent domain by that county down there. I don't know. That's not any of my worries or concerns now. Now I have this, all of this right here, my own property, to have a place of solitude, to turn off that ambient noise from the outside world. I get to control what noise, what stress, what type of interaction I have at my gates. Not a lot of people get to do that. When I was trying to figure this out living in New Jersey, it was, my gate is right here, and then right across the gate right here was somebody else's property here. All of that was touching. There was no standoff place to where I could turn down the noise. You have a peaceful evening, but then you hear stolen cars speeding up and down the streets, or dirt bikes, like a crowd of dirt bikes and ATVs and all that stuff ripping and running up and down the roads. Then drug use, gang violence, different things like that. All of that was my ambient noise for years, for decades. Now I hear the wind. It's not much water back there, but after it rains, I hear a creek. I have uh, I have my dog, Milk Dud. Today I got to come home and hear the little yips of her puppies that she just had on our property here, that she runs and controls. She gets to roam this property, and she is another part of that boundary, keeping others out. She's protecting and has learned this is hers as well. I I'm so blessed that I was able to give my wife the ability to turn down the ambient noise from the outside world. It was like little steps, because she had what she thought her life was going to be. Then we pivoted. Then it was us being married. Then we pivoted again. She was a fighter's wife. She was dealing with my training, me stepping into the cage, me being a warrior in that regard. So during those times and moments, that was the only time where the ambient noise in my world would get turned down. Like, those cage lock. Either you focus on what's right in front of you, or you're going to have a massive problem. Now, the ambient noise that she has to deal with is only of her choosing. She was when I was a over-the-road truck driver, she would scour the country about what's going on in the world and give me warnings and take on that burden, so I didn't have to take in all of this information and filter through it. She would filter through it for me, and until I got home, she couldn't turn it off because she had to be tuned in. It wasn't until she was in my arms that she could turn down and turn off that ambient noise that was messing with her. Now we're out here. What? Ryan Hall, y'all, if we're getting some nader juice out here, that's that's pretty much it. We live in a place where we're standing off from people standing off. It's so spread out. It's a it is a great feeling. Now my older son football is out here. He is able to turn off the world that he lived in back in New Jersey. He's starting a new life. He hit the reset button the second that he came out here to try and figure out what type of man he was going to be. I tried to lead by example, but even with me leading by example, I had to show him that I am willing to get rid of everything, go somewhere, be completely free so that I could be able to receive him and not have any noise that couldn't allow me to be a better father for him. My little chunk, he doesn't know anything about that stuff. He doesn't know me from New Jersey. He doesn't know me as a fighter. He doesn't know me as a truck driver. He sees me drive trucks from time to time, but it's not that stressful. Oh, I have to go out on the road and I'll be back in a week or so. He doesn't have to deal with that. He only knows that, oh, we lived on one country property, now we live on our own country property, and he doesn't have to worry about anything. Nothing whatsoever. His ambient noise is going to be the birds chirping, the wind rustling through the trees, and maybe a car going past on the road that we have some standoff distance from, and it's a dirt road at that. It's not a road well traveled coming back here. It's a dirt road. That's going to be his ambient noise. He's not going to have to deal with police sirens. He's not going to have to deal with people yelling, arguing, walking past the house. That's not going to happen. He's not going to have to deal with that. He's not going to deal with a stressed life. He may be interested or intrigued as he grows older, like, hey, what does the big city have to offer? I think that's what happens with a lot of people that grow up in the country. Their parents made a way for them so they wouldn't have to deal with that nonsense out there. Their parents knew and understood that this is the life worth living. But when you're young, don't have much information, you just want to go experience, you want to touch everything, which I found out earlier. My little chunk was pressing buttons on my ham radio. I was testing it out earlier. It was doing something weird. Had to figure it out. Figure out some of the buttons that he pressed so I could get it back into functioning so I could do some tests on it. But he's young and trying to figure out his world. I figured out mine. I figured that I needed to settle down. I needed to slow down. I needed to calm my mind because with my ears open to everything, it would become stressful. I would take on all of these burdens, but not allowed to get stressed. Because if I falter, then it's a chain reaction. Then my wife falters. Then it gets passed down to our children. Then it gets echoed out into the world to our brothers and sisters. And then if that stress continues on, then they'll want to keep some distance because like, oh, Whatever you got going on with you, you're not trying to fix it. You're not trying to listen to any direction, any instruction. So we gotta get some distance, because I don't want your toxicity latching on to me, and then I have a problem with my wife, with my family, with my friends. So whatever's bothering me, I either have to fix it immediately or I gotta let it go, because I don't want that clogging up my ears when I would be missing moments like this. It's just peaceful. Got to figure it out. You got to trust the Father's plan for you. You got to read your word. Might not make sense, but you'll be so much happier that you did. Hear my little chunk over there now. He came down the hill, and that's some welcome ambient noise. I don't know if y'all could hear him, but he was just running around in his muck boots and a pamper, experiencing his world. Because this is his. This is my inheritance to him. To him and football. So when I'm gone, they will have to figure out what's next for this property. That's one of the things that I learned from reading the word. You have to figure out what your inheritance is. That's important. So get outside, turn down the noise from your life, go work out, read your Bible. Shalom.